but then people start to realize, my goodness, these skills are incredibly valuable for building great relationships, building great connections, and just kind of thriving with improved self-confidence. So I used to, make weird jokes and play with my friends and entertain audiences. Like, I never necessarily put that together, that could be a useful skill in workplaces.
Welcome to another episode of The Founder's Hustle, the show where we pull back the curtain on what it really takes to build a business. From humble starts to bold pivots, I talk with founders who have lived it. I'm your host, Judy Swafford. Today's guest is someone who's been bringing laughter and creativity to our community for decades. Dann Sytsma is the founder of Crawlspace Comedy Theater, an improv and sketch comedy company that became a hub for both performers and audiences who just love a good laugh. I've actually known Dann for quite a while. First met him through a business training where his improv group taught us a good class about the yes and technique. And then more recently, I was actually one of his students. I took all 4 levels of his improv classes, and I can tell you firsthand, he has built something really cool. So, Dann, I'm so excited to have you on today.
Thanks, Judy. I'm excited too. Yeah.
Aw. Before we get into your unique backstory, share with us about your company, the Comedy Theater, and your leadership classes.
Yeah. So Crawlspace Comedy Theater was built up pretty much over the course of 20 years. So Crawlspace Eviction is our flagship improv team, and that was started in 2003. And it was really just started because it was a group of people who really liked the art form of improv comedy. And so we just did shows, had a lot of fun. And then little by little, we kind of added different things to it. We produced more teams, and we moved to different locations here and there. We were kind of nomadic over the years. And then we just got it really in just a real strong craving to share it with people more. And so we started a training program through Crawlspace Theater, and those have just gone really, really well. I give pretty much all credit to my wife, Tara Sytsma, who is the education director, and she teaches level 1 and is just so phenomenal at connecting with people and also just sharing this great art form with folks. And so those really took off. And then we got an opportunity to not only have a new and very good place for our training and for our classes, but also it had a performance space opportunity. And that really amped up our ability to create more comedy, to host more improv teams, create more shows, and, have a great experience. We have a liquor license, so we have a full bar, and so people can just have that full night experience, order pizza and just really have a great night out with some original comedy produced right here in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And so that's been a wonderful joy. And also in 2012, we started, a former business partner and I started Improv Effects, which is doing corporate work where we apply the improvisational skills to workplace culture and leadership communication. And that became a very huge success rather quickly. And now my wife, Tara, and I do those programs together as well. So it's really a nice kind of coupling of improv for entertainment and then improv skills for great workplace culture development. And it really has been a kind of just a dream come true to be able to do this for companies and have a lot of fun in the process, because improv is fun. But also it's this weird sort of easy mechanism to get in the door to have fun with folks, but then people start to realize, my goodness, these skills are incredibly valuable for building great relationships, building great connections, and just kind of thriving with improved self-confidence. So it's pretty great.
Aw, that's fantastic. Yeah, I distinctively remember the first time ever being introduced to improv, really, was when you came into one of my companies and led the classroom. And it was the whole yes and theory. And it really, 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 it stuck with me. I mean, that was probably 14 years ago now that you came into the classroom and taught us. To this day, I still use it. It's just, I love it, love it, love it. So
Nice.
real quick, before you got into improv, what was your day job? And at what point did you go, I'm quitting my day job to become improv actor?
Yeah, that's it's a wacky story. It's not one I necessarily recommend anybody, but it's worked out. So yeah, it was in 2012 when I decided to leave, and the job that I had before this was doing analytical chemistry for a contract research organization, CRO is what they call them, and so drug companies need to test their pharmaceuticals to make sure that what they say is in there is actually in there, and they need methods to test that. And they oftentimes contract with companies to do that work. That way, they don't have to have all those resources in house. So that's what I did. I developed methods to test pharmaceuticals.
So really, that's quite the pivot to go from chemistry into improv. Was that a scary leap for you to take, or were you pretty excited about it?
Yeah, it was. It definitely was exciting, especially because the work that I was doing in the pharma world was starting to change, and it was becoming more rigid. And the company I worked for got bought out by another company, and they were pretty aggressive with optimizing efficiencies and things like that. And unfortunately, the requiring efficiency meant uh, go faster and take less time to really develop something, which was the most interesting part of it. So it was kind of a gentle nudge out. At the same time, this guy who became my business partner, Brian Lamb, said, I've been approached by a company to do an improv workshop for the writers. It was a marketing firm. And I thought, sure, let's put something together. And if you want to do it together, that might be kind of a fun thing. And so we did it. And the more we researched it, the more we figured out that, applied improvisation is a thing. And a lot of people are doing it and, making careers out of it. And so we thought there's not really any reason we can't enter that. And we thought Southwest Michigan would be a good place to start doing it. And it has been. It's been a really good area to work in.
So it sounds like you rather stumbled into this business coming out of the chemistry world. So tell me more about that.
I knew somebody in Grand Rapids that was doing applied improvisation work. And honestly, I think it was something that we now call imposter syndrome was just pretty high, in that I never imagined going into places and saying, hey, you can benefit from this thing that I stumbled over that I used to, make weird jokes and play with my friends and entertain audiences. Like, I never necessarily put that together, that could be a useful skill in workplaces. But then, the more we did it, the more it became very apparent that people are looking for all sorts of different ways to connect in the workplace, to make workplaces more dynamic and more interesting and more positive and more supportive. And that was something that I think I started getting a peek into it because my improv team, Crawlspace Eviction, we've been performing in doing private shows for companies for years. And so we go in, we learn about the company, and then we do a fun improv show about it. And to do that correctly, or the way that we feel is the optimal way to do it, you have to learn about the company. And in learning about the company, you learn about the culture, you learn about the different people in the company that are quirky, and you see some patterns that start to form, and you start to learn about the leadership, and you start to learn about you learn about company culture through doing shows for them. And so fusing all of that together, and I always just had a curiosity about how companies work and what workplace dynamics are, what leads to a company that people seem to really like being in. And we did shows for companies that were kind of tough shows, because the people there, if you're at a company party for the free meal and free drinks, that's different than being at the company party because you like the people that are around you. And you can tell which is which. And then you start to put things together, and suddenly you know a company almost better than the people that are there. And that was kind of fun to recognize and leverage.
So you had mentioned that your wife is a large part of the company and does a great job with the teachings and everything. At what point did she enter into the business with you?
She started leading our classes at Crawlspace Comedy Theater in 2016. So she has a good background in education pretty shortly after, because my business partner moved to Colorado. Our kids were both in school at that time, and so it just made sense to kind of transition Tara over to doing the corporate work as well as education, or leading our education.
Yeah. So to date, if you had to describe your entrepreneurial journey in 3 words, what would it be?
So 3 words that would describe it, the ones I thought would be purposeful, rewarding, and pressure.
Ooh, tell me
Yeah.
more about pressure.
It's an interesting pressure, because that stress and pressure of starting your own business, where your paycheck is going to come solely based on the effort that you put in to get clients and get the work. And so that pressure is certainly real. To do that, I have a wife, 2 kids, and we like to eat food, we like to have clothing. We're pretty minimal in our needs. We're not people that need a lot, but we need basic needs. So there's that pressure of we've got to provide, and so sometimes that's tough when you go through a pandemic, when you go through times when maybe the interest in what we're doing starts to drop, or we feel like it's dropping. Then you've got to pick it back up. You've got to find ways to get out there and get the work. So yeah, there certainly is an amount of pressure that goes along with entrepreneurship. But it's either that, or the pressure and the stress of working somewhere and not feeling like you're really making a difference, or not.
When it comes to getting your clients, when you very first really started out on your own and you're going after the corporate world at this point for training, what type of marketing did you do? How did you secure your customers?
Yeah, it's a great question. And we largely relied on our networks, our personal networks, and then tried to expand them from there. So even one of our big clients early on was a pharmaceutical or analytical testing equipment company called PerkinElmer. They may have a different name now, but they were a great client. They had us come in and do multiple workshops with their Mostly they're engineers, because their engineers were also called on to do some level of sales. So they were hired in to fix equipment, and then they were asked to do sales. And a lot of them just like, they really clinched up when it was time to make a sale. And so they wanted some tools to make it easier. And so we provided that. And it was a lot of fun. So we participated in Leadership Kalamazoo, which is a program through Southwest Michigan First. And that let us work on some of them. But, like the adage is that luck is just, being ready when opportunities come up. And I think we were. So we were both good at networking. We were both good at building relationships in the community, and certainly being a known presence as a performer that does improv exposed me to a lot of different business people in the community, and a lot of phone calls, a lot of just introducing this new thing to people that I had known for a long time through other business connections.
Yeah, I'd say the personal connections, it sounds like it sort of snowballed for you, if you will, once you got it going. So that's fantastic. What's the best advice that you have ever received or ignored?
Or ignored. There is, probably the best advice somebody gave me, and this was my friend's dad. It was funny. Growing up, I had a best friend. He was great. He loved sleeping in like long. And so I'd spend the night at his house and wake up in the morning and he was still out. And so I'd go out into the living room, and his dad had MS. And so he had to be in a wheelchair, and I would just talk to him. I would just chat with him. And he was just this font of wisdom, just kind of this oracle of a person that I really admired a lot. And he said something that was really profound. It was very simple, but I think it was something that I needed at the time, which was, unless you really make a conscious effort to change or craft the way you think about something, you're likely just going to think what your parents thought. And I was like, yeah, okay, all right. And I think at the moment it was good. I needed that at that time. And I think over the years, it's just kind of evolved into not just what my parents taught me, but also, what just my sphere of influence taught me about something. And that unconsciously you think certain things, not because it's correct or not because it came from someplace of value, but just because sometimes it seeps in, you don't know where it came from and you don't know why you think something. And so that advice really just made me think about, why is it that I think certain things? I used to say I'd never be able to run a marathon. I just believed that because I think I tried running when I was a kid and it was uncomfortable. And so I just was like, I can't do it. And then I met somebody that was a marathon runner, and she's like, no, here's a program, try it. And so I tried it. And then in 2012, I ran a marathon. So I really think that had a pretty distinct effect. If you don't make a conscious effort to change how you think about something or dive into why you think something, you're probably just going to stick with the default, and that default might not be serving you. Yeah, I think figure out tick off those boxes of how am I going to get healthcare and stuff like that right away. Just go out there and explore what the options are, and you'll find that there are options, and it's not going to be as scary as you think. I think a lot of people stay in a job or in a career because they just haven't haven't gotten curious about what else is out there, and maybe I didn't realize that applied improvisation workshops were a great fusion of my love for improv and workplace culture. I never thought of it. I never really realized that. So yeah, get curious about what's out there. Ask questions, consider getting a different perspective.
Yeah, that's great. So go out and explore. That's what I'm hearing. Go explore. That's really good advice.
Stay curious.
Stay curious. I love it. So what's next for Crawlspace? What's up your sleeves? Where are you guys pivoting next?
Oh, good question. Yeah, we're having a lot of fun creating new shows at the theater. Our sketch show is so fun. We've got a group of sketch writers and performers that the last show that they did was just over the moon funny, just really clever, really smart. And so that's been great. So at the theater itself, there's a lot of really great advancements in the quality of our shows and getting performers up there that really are shining really bright and giving them more opportunities. And then the theater itself is in a really good place as far as the bar, and our pizza's great. So the experience is in a good place. And then we're trying to up our marketing, just have a better game marketing and promoting. And we've got some really good people doing good work with that. So the theater is, I think, on an upswing, and that's really exciting. That's really fun. And then for Improv Effects, the corporate work, it really is, keeping an ear out for companies that are going to be interested in the work that we're doing. It's really nice that we're able to cross promote or sort of feed the other business. So in our public shows and in our classes, we can promote, hey, if you want something in your workplace that's going to improve the culture and the communication, we'd love to do it. And then same thing with our corporate clients. We can say, hey, do your people want a fun night out at the theater? We can provide that. And so it's really nice that those businesses are starting to feed each other a lot more.
Right. So speaking of a fun night at the theater, where do we go to support you? How do we find Crawlspace Comedy Theater? How do we get tickets?
Yeah. So crawlspacecomedy.com is where everything's at. And then improveffects.com. So it's improveffects.com is where you can get more info on, the corporate work that we're doing, which is really hitting a great stride. So hope you can get in on that.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Dan. I appreciate getting the backstory behind your comedy theater and your improv training. It's been a pleasure talking with you. And everybody, go get some tickets. You've got some great improv troops, and go visit Dan and his wife, Tara, and support local. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Judy. Great time talking to you.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's Founders Hustle. I would absolutely love to know what resonated with you the most from today's guest. Go ahead and drop me a comment if you're watching this on YouTube. Also, if there's a future topic that you'd like me to touch on, go ahead and drop that in the comments as well. But no matter where you're watching or streaming your favorite shows, hit that subscribe button. Follow me on social media. Tell a friend about this. I would love the support. But in the meantime, keep living, keep growing, and keep hustling, because you are meant to do great things. See you next week.